Welcome back to the Nordic Championship, where we just found out that our Danish teams are having some issues with their ISPs. So for now, actually, we have decided that instead we will move on with some other games for you. Sweden versus Sweden. We have Ostersunds FK versus TFT playing right now. The players are ready, and we're about to jump into the champion select and see which one of these teams can move away with 2 wins for today.
Yeah, so we're swapping this out to follow two teams that have been doing really well today. So we did just see Östersund beat Placeholder out 2-0, and the final tribe, TFT, they also went 2-0, but against the Icelandic team of Riptide. And we need to jump into the champ select right now because there are some interesting stuff happening as we are jumping into it.
Absolutely. And both of these teams coming up really strong with 2 victories just behind, or 2 games played just behind them. Now it's going to be the tiebreaker to decide which one of these teams ends up higher up in the standings after today. And of course, this being a little bit of a grudge match for the Swedish teams, what can we expect when it comes to players that are usually playing with each other, not against each other?
Yeah, they're gonna be knowing each other's styles pretty well. Not only have you perhaps been playing in the same teams, but you've been playing against each other at the same LAN tournaments in the Swedish Esports League, of course. So you will have some more targeted bans, perhaps. And speaking of targeted bans, we are seeing the Kane coming out right now before the second phase. So they want to target Mark there, who had some great performances on both Kha'Zix and Kane. Other things to note in this draft so far is that we're starting to see a bit of a poke comp in the final tribe, while Östersund is starting to make a bit of an engage comp. So two interesting team compositions that are going up against each other. A big poke champion that's always standing out to me is the SWE here for TFT.
Absolutely. Zoe is still open, and together with Jace, that is such a huge poke potential for the final tribe if they can manage to snatch that mid laner. And alas, they cannot, because Zoe is now banned by Östersund's FK, who do not want to play against that.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking on the other side for us to show that, oh, there's a Nami pick, which is going to be having a good laning face into the Braum and provide some great disengage. And disengage is just what you want when you're running a poke comp. So Östersund wants to find some forms of engage with the likes of a lot of junglers banned out. I would even enjoy seeing something like the Nocturne for Marcoon, because you really just want to be able to gap close on these poke champions in the backline, and together with the LeBlanc, that could be a combo that's very hard to deal with for the squishes. But on the other hand, I'm a Nocturne fanboy, so I'm kind of biased there.
So absolutely. Kha'Zix, a champion that he had success on earlier today, still open. Lee Sin, of course, wasn't banned. That is also one of the stronger junglers when it comes to the early pressure and the side lane pressure as well. Adept also on his LeBlanc. Looked absolutely devastating earlier tonight when they faced off versus placeholder 1, 2, 3. So this is something that I do like to see from Östersund's FK.
Yeah, and it's up against a comp of pretty much all squishes except for that Sejuani. So if you want to go for something interesting when it comes to counter picks here, you're actually allowed to pick either a top or a mid laner, because Jason to LeBlanc, that is not a bad matchup for the Jace. Campbell, the Hex Drinker, and just go to toe early on, not taking too much pressure. Could also look for something like Kassadin if you want a really crazy counter pick, but just a standard poking champion that's also able to provide some safety for your team. And I wouldn't call Cillian a poke champion, but he definitely has a lot of zone control and that hugely important ultimate.
Absolutely. So there is a lot of safety coming out of a Zillion. On the other hand, before you have that level up, and of course, even though if you have your level 6 and you're playing solo in your lane, you're still fairly diveable versus the burst from a LeBlanc. So this is something interesting to see where Denzel will go with this time-winding mid laner. Up in top lane, Christ playing the Sion, yet again, something we've seen time and time again, him picking up solo kills on this champion up in the top lane.
Yeah, he must really be enjoying himself today, getting to play that full tank for like the entire evening, pretty much, going home from work or school or whatever, and then just say, oh, how am I going to spend this afternoon? I'm going to play some tanks. But he's doing fine, so...
Absolutely, and he has dealt a lot of damage on his tanks as well. But I want to talk about the final tribe, the other Swedish team, as they have gotten the poke composition with both the Estriel and the Jace together with the disengage you talk so much about.
Yeah, I think this is a well-rounded poke composition, because you got both the disengage from the Nami, the Sejuani, and sort of the Cillian. You've got a lot of poke damage, but you're also not too late game focused. it's easy to play a Pocomp and get really focused on the late game, but here you've got the Jace for the early pressure. You've also got the Cillian who's going to be able to keep the LeBlanc in the mid lane with pushing out the waves completely. And Nami, who can get targeted out by some ganks if Marcoon's Lee Sin wants to spend time towards the bottom side, but if the Nami's not going to get targeted by the ganks, he's going to be having a good time up against the Braum as well.
Absolutely, and it's all up to these junglers right now as Marcoon on the Lee Sin. He is an aggressive style jungler. We've seen him only play this aggressive type. We see him force flashes. We see him pick up the kills in the mid lane. Question is, how do you play around this with this team composition that the Final Tribe has picked up?
Yeah, we're talking so much about the the mid jungle synergies. That's the most important duo in the game. Some people might think it's AD and support. No, that does not matter as much as the mid and jungle synergy. And with Adept and Marcoon, I think they both have the stronger champions for the early 2v2s, and that they are the stronger players for the early 2v2s.
Absolutely, and I'm expecting to see Marcoon go for a lot of invades, play very aggressively on this Lee Sin early. Of course, you talked about the Jace up top lane. Jace into a Sion has so much potential to just simply push Sion early and force him under the turret, getting a lot of gold when you go for the Kleptomancy. This time around, though, it's the Airy rune for Vaser.
Yeah, I think this is an interesting choice because a lot of the time you'll see a Kleptomancy in this matchup when you want to farm up, but this means that Waster wants to push in, harass Crazy really heavily, and then go for the tower damage. So this is the build you want to go for when you pretty much want to get the gold from getting extra tower platings and even solo kills rather than getting the gold directly from the Kleptomancy.
Absolutely. My worry is that I expect Marcoon to be expecting this and sit up top lane a lot. So that is something that Vaser might find, that up versus Kryze, who is a fairly aggressive top laner, and versus Marcoon as well, who we have seen over and over again be this jungler that makes things happen on the map, that this could be a little bit difficult for Vaser to handle, although Vaser looks fairly happy right now, 1v1ing this Sion early, actually losing out a little bit on that trade. But they're going to move towards the top lane, getting the better pathing for that and getting a little bit lane priority from that as well. In the main lane, to no surprise, Adept is going to start pushing this for the early level advantage.
Yeah, for sure, running that Electrocute means it's so important to actually proc it in these early trades, and that's just what he did onto Denzel. Not sure if that was a misclick from the Cillian or if he actually meant to use both potions, because he's right now sitting on a Doran's Ring without a single potion in his inventory, so Denzel might be taking some early punishment here, needs to get that level 6 before he's safe, and we talked about such a strong 2v2 that LeBlanc and Lee Sin are, but he's targeting the bottom lane.
Yeah, here comes Marcoon. Instant flash from Nightmares. He's going to avoid this gank for now, but with no flash available, that will be an easier gank for Marcoon when he decides to come back. As you saw, Raxi around the Rift Scuttler earlier. Got it very quickly, but moving away now, and Marcoon should know where Raxi is and where he wants to go next.
I think this is really smart for Marcoon because we talked a lot about the Nami, how she wants to punish the Braum in this support matchup. Being that ranged support with a sustain as well, you're able to push the Braum out, push the wave and control that. But without the flash, you have to be so extremely careful of any sort of pressure coming in towards the lane. As soon as Marcoon shows up next time, Nightmares have to be very well positioned in a defensive spot, or Marcoon's going to be putting out too much pressure on the Lee Sin. He did lose double crabs though.
Yeah, Raxi in a healthy lead right now versus Marcoon, and with the top priority here, it's going to be Vaser arriving first as well. We'll see if it's going to be a smite fight here. Is Adept also moving in? It's a 3 versus 3. The smite is brought down by Marcoon, picking up the blue buff. And now it's Vaser being in a heap of trouble, being picked off. Adept chasing this one down. Raxi is dangerously low on HP. Adept not having the flash, but oh, the Sonic Wave not going to connect on this one. No Sonic Wave available. Gonna force the flash still by Denzel, rooted under the turret. One Sonic Wave is all that needs to be hit, and he's going to hit it. Marcoon picks up the kill on Denzel. He's gonna have to sacrifice his own life, giving away the blue buff that he's so hard fought for. But in the end, should be very happy with that situation.
That's an interesting 3v3 fight on the top side of the map. I wouldn't say any of the sides have a good lead when it comes to just the champions. Speaking of having leads with just the champions, though, this is what a double-ranged lane will do to a Braum. There's nothing he can do unless he goes for the complete all-in, which is what's happening right now.
Oh yeah, this is the complete all-in. 2 more auto attacks gonna finish off the stun. Flash gonna be used, and 1 more auto attack will pick up the kill, although it's a kill for a kill, as the Ezreal wanted to have none of that. Make sure that he gets his gold back for his support.
And this is what's a bit risky with running the teleport on the Ezreal. Don't have the heal. I think if he had the heal right there, he would have been able to survive that 2 versus 2 matchup. Still was able to get the 1-for-1 and killing Unforgiven when there's such a big wave that's going to be crashing underneath the tower. Probably before Unforgiven can actually come in for this, it's going to be really good for Kantos and Nightmares right now, as Nightmares has a substantial lead in the farm, the Kleptomancy, as well as a tower plating, so he's actually really far behind in gold, almost 400 this early on.
Kantos Unforgiven only going to lose 1 last hit actually from that, so he had the timing. As Kantos did not push quickly enough, still Kantos should be happy in this situation going kill for kill. Although actually I noticed now that Nightmare, of course, was the one that got the kill. So it's 300 gold in the bank for Unforgiven. In this matchup should make it a little bit more easy for him and Shred to handle this pushing bot lane.
Nightmare and Denzel, both without their flashes, means that Markoon really wants to spend the next few minutes putting on pressure. He does not want to be farming up in his jungle. He's been going for the double longsword, and he really wants to put on the pressure to punish the lack of flashes here. I think there's great ganking potential in both mid and bottom lane if you're able to set it up with a proper wave positioning.
Absolutely. Shred even arriving to make sure that Markoon picks up the 3rd Rift Scuttler of the game. Markoon is falling behind in CS, and the 1 kill that Raxi picked up as well in that earlier 3v3 skirmish is going to help him quite a bit on this Sejuani. Up top lane though, look at Weiser, he's going very low, managed to sidestep away from the ult, but Decimating Toss still going to be there, and the flash forward will pick up the solo kill again for Crazy. This guy picking up solo kills almost every single game.
That's a well-deserved zoom in for the Scion one trick so far in the tournament, but he's been making it work in such a good way, solo killing a Jace. That's not what you're expecting to happen at all, but Weiser gets hit by the fully charged Q, and remember, this is after the Scion nerfs. He's been getting some longer cooldown on his W, less damage on his Q, but he is still solo killing Weiser in a matchup that he is supposed to lose. Level 7 versus level 5.
Yeah, Weiser lost out hugely in that 3 versus 3 earlier, arriving sooner to try to help his jungler pick up the blue buff and get that triple buff lead, but instead have to sacrifice his life, have to sacrifice his lane, and now being down in EXP, being down in gold, and even losing out 1 versus 1 with the sign. It's gonna take such a long time for him to get back into the game.
Rux is waiting for level 6 here, is very close to unlocking that ultimate, the Glacial Prison. I think it's just 1 or maybe 2 minions off. Yeah, probably gonna be after this siege minion, so look for an all-in to come in any second now.
Yeah, here it is, he's looking for it. We'll see who the main focus will be. Raxi waiting, and here it comes, main focus straight onto the marksman. There is no Unbreakable who will be able to stop that, as a great bubble also blocked Shred from getting into position where the Unbreakable would stop those auto attacks.
Nothing that Unforgiven can do at all in such a position where all the CC lands and there is no summoners on the Kai'Sa. Very well played. Gotta say that's not optimal for Nightmares to pick up both of these kills, but a kill on the Kai'Sa, pushing in the wave, getting the Ocean Dragon. Nice plays from TFT.
Markoon sneaking in topside, knowing that the Ocean Dragon is gone. Is going to pick up this with the tower dive. That is another kill. The 0-3 top laner from TFT not too happy with this, and I think it's fairly even with an Ocean Drake in this situation, as it's really good for these laners, but on the other hand, like, if Weiser falls down even further, it's gonna be a massive disaster for this top lane.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, getting the Ocean Dragon, getting some gold for all 3 of these members, that's gonna be... Oh, they're gonna go again!
Oh, there's so much focus on this bot lane. Unbreakable is there, blocking so much of this DPS, but the Arcane Barrage will be enough to finish the job, even with an attempted sidestep.
Yeah, and this is an Ezreal that's snowballing Sang, maybe one of the best scaling champions in the game, is getting off to a big early lead. But speaking of big early leads, Wazer definitely does not have one of those, as his tower's gonna go down at 9 minutes.
Oh! Wazer wasn't
9 minutes.
able to get all the minions with that shock blast.
That was
The turret
pretty cool.
goes down. Yeah, the turret goes down. He wanted to try to block it and just barely maybe could have stopped that, but wasn't able to get all the minions. And there goes the turret. That's the first tower blood on top lane. 9 minutes and 20 seconds into the game.
So this is an insane gold lead for Sion versus Jace. That's not a sentence you get to say very often. 2,000 gold up before 10 minutes. 4.5k gold, 2.5k for Wazer. And Jace, when he falls behind, he's barely a champion at that point. I mean, if you're grouping up, you want to hit a accelerated shock blast, and you've got like 1 item to 1.5, 2 items on the other side. When you've also got the Braum and the Sion to block him out, Wazer's gonna be really sorry this game. Like, he's not going to be doing a lot at all. He's very lucky that this Ezreal is doing so well.
Absolutely, and now Kryze has been staying in the fog of war for a little bit with his ultimate up, putting a little bit of pressure down on the map as well. He has the teleport. Speaking of teleport, Canvas is going to use his to arrive back in lane with a Sheena and the Muramana. Rax is still around bot lane. We can tell that there's a lot of focus on the Final Tribes bot lane. Meanwhile, they haven't gotten that much from it. Like, there are 3 kills picked up here. It's definitely big, but they have a huge problem up top lane right now. So they need to make more things happen around this. And it looks like Raxor now is moving toward the mid lane instead.
I think it's a good choice for Raxon, actually, like putting a lot of pressure on towards the bottom side. That's really when you're strong, really where you have the kill pressure. Mid lane, Denzel, you just want him to farm and clear the waves. Oh, this is going to be a 3v3, but my Nightmares might get caught out.
Oh, Sonic Wave is there, is going to catch Nightmares off guard, but Marcoon is getting low here as well. It's going to force Cantos away, though, still
TP's
jumping forward, using Safeguard to get away. As I said, TP has arrived. The fight is still happening, but this Sion is very tanky, so he's going to block most of this damage. Shock Blast not going to hit anything. As the Ostersunds FK are disengaging, Adept getting a little bit of damage off. Just forcing this team away. Not going to be deterred, though. Blocking just a little bit, but Shred actually taking some heavy damage from these bombs. Denzel is someone we haven't talked that much about. His bombs are actually starting to hurt quite a bit without even having that much ability power in the bank. So this turret is about to fall. Not a huge problem for Ostersunds FK. They got first tower blood, but showing the big difference in focus between these two teams.
Yeah, meanwhile, Kryze is going to get even more solo gold in the mid lane as he picks up these turrets plating. And at this point, honestly, I'm not sure that how good getting solo gold onto the Sion is. Sure, you're getting really far ahead in the gold count, but when we look at that, it's only a 900 gold lead, while the Sion is 2.3k gold ahead, which means that the rest of the team for Östersund is 1400 gold behind. So yes, you've got a Sion that's huge. The question is, how good is that actually going to be? How will they be able to utilize how big Kryze is going in this game?
Absolutely, and when it comes to Kryze, I mean, he's definitely one of the stronger top laners we have seen in this tournament, but on the Sion, the big question is what he can do on this particular champion. Also looking at another Smite fight. It's up to Marcoon. He has been really good in these so far. Picking it up, another Smite fight here. Here's gonna come the big wave. It's gonna knock up a few of these champions, forcing the teleport even. The bubble not gonna hit anything, so the Sion has arrived. Looks like Raxi wants to try to contest yet another time, but Adept is there to stop him. Mid turret now being the main focus instead for TFT.
So you can see both of these teams are actually giving their weaker members some time to farm solo. Östersund has sent Unforgiven up to the top lane to just get some free farm, get some free experience and gold, while TFT are doing the same thing for Wazer in the bottom side. So they are wanting their weakest members to get it just a bit stronger.
Wazer should be very happy just getting this solo time away from Kryze. In the mid lane, turret plating about to fall. TFT wants to have just one more plate, but Adept will have none of that. It's going to stop them just before 20 seconds before turret plating disappears. Up top lane, Unforgiven has pushed forward. It's going to take some jungle as well. Not there to show himself right now. Denzel is moving towards the top lane. So he will be there to stop these minions from going to waste. And Unforgiven right now still haven't finished one item. Same goes for Vaser.
He's
Not
gonna go for
objective
this.
focus. I think he is the kind of player that might actually try to go for it, but no, he is not going to risk it. Even though if he had gotten it, I don't think it would be worth that much.
Yeah, especially
Getting
when
a
you've
Cloud
got a
Dragon.
600 gold shutdown. That's probably a good choice not to try to go for the 50-50, if it would have even been a 50-50, since you did not have that good vision control on the dragon itself. So the game seems to be calming down a bit. As we said, the big player for Östersund is really Kreis, and the big player for TFT is Kanto. Really looking forward to seeing these two go up against each other. And with the Ardent sensor completed for Nightmares, I think this is a duel of the giants that's going to go in favor of TFT, because SWE with Ardent, with stacking up that first tier, almost finished with the Muramana. Actually not even that close to being it finished, almost just halfway done at 15 minutes, so that's not that great, but still, he's looking strong on this as well.
Yeah, I think he was pushed quite a bit in the lane at that point for some reason, so he took a late TP. I'm not quite sure what happened for him to have gotten into that position, as I expected him to have his tier fairly quickly this game. But it's going to take a little bit longer, and while that happens, waiting for that power spike, it's Kreis. He's just running around with this Scion, doing whatever he wants in these side lanes, and Vaser on this Jace has yet to impress.
Yeah, so we talked a lot about in the pick ban about the sort of poke comp that we got going for TFT versus Core, who's got the sort of engaged team fighting comp. And when you're starting to get to this point in the game where you're getting two items, oh, is this going to be the all-in? He does have the Unstoppable Onslaught, it's not going to go for it. Still, when you've got these sort of team comps going up against each other, this is the point in the game where they really start to play that sort of poking versus engaging style. And so far, there hasn't been any really strong engages from Östersund. I think they would gain a lot if they're able to find a fight that's not a tower dive with that Unstoppable Onslaught, with a flank from Marcoon perhaps. I think looking for a fight is what they want to do.
Absolutely. An Arcane Barrage was used in the mid lane, blocked by the Unbreakable, so turret has gone down, been popped open with the Rift Herald. Ostersunds FK doing a good job looking for these global gold pickups, something that they have been struggling with a little bit when getting an early lead, just making sure to secure all of these objectives. But now they have gotten the two turrets in top and mid lane with the Rift Herald. They've gotten no dragon. Both dragons have gone to the final tribe. So it's still fairly
Here
even.
we go with engage.
Unstoppable Onslaught coming up in the mid lane. It's going to hit Raxi in the face. The tidal wave not going to hit anything, as Kreis has arrived, and even though he is very tanky, he doesn't have that much damage to talk about. Raxi's going to chase him down a little bit. That's getting some harassment off, as Kreis is so tanky. But no big engage opportunities here for Ostersunds FK.
Yeah, you've got the Ascion being quite far ahead, but you really need some more finesse if you're Östersund right there. Just charging in with a Scion from one side and then coming in with a whole team from the other, running straight into a Nami wave. That's not going to be good enough. You need to be even more creative. Try to get these sort of pensive movements down with a Lee Sin, who can be so strong if he's able to find the sort of flanks. Also Shred with Flash and Glacial Fissure available can start a fight from the side as well. So they need to be very precise when it comes to these engagements later on. The communication needs to be on point, because they're going to have to start to force some fights. They don't want this game to drag on too late.
And the final tribe aren't late to respond. They immediately go for the mid turret as soon as the recalls happen from Ostersunds FK. So Ostersunds FK, they've gotten a good recall timing. They have the Rage Blade on. The Kaisar going for that first item in this game. Adept has gotten his Luden's Echo, so they're looking fairly strong here with Lee Sin at one of his high points of the game. But still, they haven't been able to force that much. This gold lead that they have accumulated hasn't really been able to expand any further, so they are 2k up, which is good at this point. But they have a stacking Ezreal working versus them. They have the Zilean, which will work to try to force Adept to be a little bit less threatening in these fights. My concern is how they're going to handle the side
It's going to be a flank from Lee Sin.
Yeah, here comes Marcoon with the flash. Knocked over the wall, misses the Sonic Wave. Tidal Wave is going to block the rest of his team, so Marcoon has to run away. Unbreakable yet again, blocking that Arcane Barrage, waiting for it. Teleport on the side, no damage talked about by Vaser. Coming forward, jumping in, forcing the flash. Here comes the Glacial Prison, gonna hit the correct mark on Marcoon, but Marcoon
Adept
running away.
in.
Here is Adept with huge damage, but not huge enough, forcing the Cillian ultimate immediately. Is going to run away from this fight, and Christ in the middle of all of it, finally running away, and a dangerous attempt by Ostersunds FK turns into the favor of the final tribe as they are pushing in right now, and Vaser very happy getting this gold. Mountain Dragon about to spawn. It is live now.
That fight was insane from Adept. He jumped back to his W, which was in the middle of the entire enemy team with like 100 HP, and then was able to run away because it was invisible from that passive. Insane escape from Adept. Still a very close fight, but TFT ends up with another dragon.
Yeah, that's the third dragon they pick up this game, and TFT have been amazing on these objective pickups. Adept, though, the mechanical master, was the one who somehow found a way out of that sticky situation. Still, just barely surviving when you are the ones who want to fight, when you were the ones who started the fight. It's not really enough, is it?
Yeah, it all comes down to Marcoon really missing that Sonic Wave on to Nightmare. If that would have landed, if he would have bursted down the Nami immediately, that fight would have been completely different. But look at this guy, look at Adept. He is the big carry for Östersund. He needs to be the one stepping up. He's the experienced players with a lot of rookies on the roster, so he needs to take charge. He's got the potential to do this on the LeBlanc, but it's not going to be an easy task up against the Chrono Shift of the Cillian, who can save anyone, as we saw with Kanto in that fight, but really just gonna be looking out for Adept in these fights.
Yeah, absolutely. Adept now in the side lane versus Vaser. Christ down bot lane, he got the turret finally, so that is some more gold in the bank. Still about 2k ahead of Ostersunds. FK are looking strong in that position, but looking at this Mountain Dragon, the Ocean Dragon, the Cloud Dragon, there's so much mobility, there's objective damage, there's that extra sustain, and now moving towards the top side of the map. Adept can't really 2 versus 1, he doesn't have enough vision to try to defend this turret, so Adept in a bit of a sticky situation, and Christ can't do that much in the bot lane versus Denzel, who simply just cleans these waves up.
Yeah, I think this is a very smart lane assignment from the final tribe. You know that Waster's going to be having a rough time up against Crycy in the 1v1, so just send Denzel down there. He has the teleport, he also has Merc Thread, so he won't be under kill pressure from Crycy, and he can just clear the waves. That's all that he is there for. Might not be too fun of a game for Denzel, who's like an old Pantheon main. He's the one who just wants to jump in. Now he's playing Cillian, he's on wave clear and press R duty, but that's what he needs to do for his team to win.
Absolutely. Still scaling quite a bit. He has the almost fully stacked Rod of Ages right now. And Kantos with the finished Muramana. He's looking strong. So TFT, they have been getting some good fights off so far. And this is kind of the tiebreak between these two teams for today, as both have gotten this one win. It's TFT with the win versus Riptide, and OFK versus placeholder 1-2-3. So both want to prove that they are the better team in this tournament.
Yeah, a lot of pride on the line, and also the spot in the top stages of the bracket, because as you said, both of them are 2-1 at the moment. So if you go 3-1, you're going to be a top contender for sure. Gotta look towards the items a bit more, and Unforgiven has finally cashed in on this call, so he's starting to become somewhat strong on this. Kai'Sa has unlocked the Evolve on the E, the Supercharge as well with this build, so he's finally starting to do some damage.
Yeah, he's gone with the Rage Blade into the Hurricane, so a lot of attack speed on this champion right now. He's about to pop off on this Kai'Sa versus this Ezreal.
Look at that.
Goes for Ezreal, Adept going in, putting Decantus dangerously low. And now focuses on Raxi instead. Here comes the flank though, as the Scion has arrived. Crisis there, forcing the flash of Vaser immediately. Vaser turning back, trying to poke just a little bit. Incel healthy throughout all of this, putting down the bombs where it hurts. And Christ, even though he has gotten all of that gold, this is a problem you talked about. He has all this gold in the bag, but has not been able to do that much with it after the lane phase ended. So right now, he's big, he's tanky, but he can't defend against this on his own. Even without minions, this turret is about to fall.
Yeah, this Scion, sure, he's big, sure, he did a good job, but this is why you don't want all your gold to go towards the tank. You can see when Denzel was just keeping Christ down in the bottom side, that's Christ with a 2.5k gold lead over him. So the rest of the team in the 4 versus 4, they are far behind in the gold count. So really gotta say that Christ should not have picked up all those solo kills. If you could have gone on to Adept, gone on to Unforgiven, gone on to someone who could do something better with the gold.
The problem is that, like, most of these, one of these happened in the solo situation, and Marcoon arrived. I would have wanted to see Adept try to come top lane a little bit more.
Yeah.
Try to capitalize off this, as Adept, once he hits that big carry position, getting some kills, he is such a monster to handle. But Adept, for this game, he sits on this 1 assist. He has a healthy amount of farm, but that is it. On his team, he is the one with the lowest amount, actually. So I actually almost need to take back that healthy comment. I'm not sure. He's looking like fairly healthy, slightly underfed. Is that a thing you can say?
Probably a thing you can say. I mean, he does for sure have a lot of potential to go for these sort of solo kills. If he wants to put in, oh, this is actually a Baron. They do have the Kai'Sa with the Rage Blade, but it's still risky business.
Absolutely, as Christ can tank this, but he can't tank it forever. They need to try to sneak it, and there was wards around them, so they were spotted. The dragon, though, was cancelled by Araxi, but it's still an ocean dragon, so it's not their biggest priority. Gonna pick it up if they can. No Infernal Dragons on the table, just 1 Mountain Dragon so far, so not the worst situation for Ostersunds FKs. If these had been 3 Infernal Dragons that were picked up by TFT, that could have been a little bit more dangerous for them.
Still getting 1 of each so far is definitely not a bad thing for them. I mean, the first dragon since the changes have been getting a lot stronger, so they can for sure utilize at least the Ocean and the Cloud Dragon really well. Don't have the best sieging to utilize the Mountain Dragon, but will still provide some pressure when it comes to setting up for the Barons, but that's going to be a bit later on because they can't just start the Baron. Like when you're a poke comp up against an engaged comp, you can't just start the Baron randomly because that's exactly the position that Östersund wants to be in, and that's why they started the Baron, because that's the way to force a fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Although look at Kansas right now. He's starting to hurt quite a bit on this Ezreal. Unbreakable not going to block anything this time, but on the other hand, Arcane Barrage didn't hit that much either. Turret have lost some HP. Looking at the side lanes, it's a decent situation for TFT to be in. They have a lot of time here to push.
Yeah, and looking at Kantos here, he does have this big 3-item Ezreal Spike with a double tier, but he's also got the Ardent. That's something you can never forget when you're playing alongside this Nami, so going to be putting out a lot of damage. This is going to be another tower going down. A substantial gold lead will soon be in the hands of the final tribe.
Absolutely, and Christ even forced to use ultimate to make sure he gets away from that. That means there are no ways to really start and engage right now versus a Nami. You can't jump in on the Lee Sin. You can tell this from the higher gear TFT already is in. Moving forward now, poking as much as they can.
This is the sort of situation where the double Ocean is so strong. Look at how they are regenerating.
Yeah, absolutely. Regenerating like madmen right here, together with the heal as well. That Nightmare can put down the turret. It's getting lower and lower, but here comes the engage. Tsunami is there immediately, but look at that damage from Adept, and the ultimate will not be enough.
Oh!
Save everyone, and the take from the Chrono Shift just went out before that. Oh my god. The Ignite just killed Kantos, and Adept being that huge power play yet again for OFK. Now moving towards the Baron, although look at the bot lane actually. It looks like TFT have decided that they have to stick around. Means a little bit of an awkward shift right here. They might be able to pick up this turret actually. Unbreakable not going to be enough right here. Going to avoid the CC, and Denzel keeps pushing this. You can look at Adept, he is so low on HP, he can't even stick around this. Here comes the onslaught, again, down the bot lane. Denzel deals so much damage, it's a little bit awkward right now, but not gonna be able to get it. There's actually not. Raxi picks up the kill, gonna flash.
Oh, he's not the Baron! With a fusion barrage!
That was Baron steal! That was the Baron steal!
What is this game saying?
This is absolutely incredible! I'm not sure what happened, no one expected that, least of all Marcoon on the Lee Sin. And that is actually a huge game changer right now. Look at Unforgiving having to run away, flashing away from this damage. But the ebb and flow will also be there to help. He can't do anything to save his team at Marcoon. And with this Baron buff, TFT are looking to break through the base of Ostersunds FK. The open inhibitor down bot lane. The minion wave is pushing in perfectly with this. And that was a huge throw from Ostersunds FK.
Wow, that is insane. So many things happening back to back to back. And the big thing, of course, Kantas stealing the Baron with the True Shot Barrage. This is a siege towards the inhibitor, sorry, the Nexus Towers. Marcoon is going to up in 5 seconds, though. I think Crysis can go for an engage as soon as he has that Unstoppable Onslaught available, but he's going to be going down before that.
Yeah, he goes down too quickly. He has to run away from this fight. EFT playing decisively with this Baron. Now Chrono Break yet again on Kantos. Timing out a little bit too early. I'm worried a lot about Adept. Here comes the Unbreakable Onslaught. Kantos about to be hit. Is going to juke to the side. A huge knockup, but no follow-up is there. The bubble is going to break Kantos into half and pieces. Marcoon coming in. He finally gets Kantos. Crysis, though, is able to survive this somehow, moving forward still and still fighting it out, going 2 for 0 in that exchange. 2 for 1 actually, sorry.
And the unlikely hero in that last fight, Unforgiven, is able to pick up all the kills there on towards the backline with a great ultimate and then being able to get out as well. But these fights are so insanely close, and you can see how both these teams are executing their game plans pretty well. You've got the poke comp with the Cillian on one side and then the engage from the Lee Sin, from the Braum, from the Scion on the other. But I mean, I still gotta say it's all about this guy, Adept. He's been doing such a good job, pretty much saved the game for Östersund in that bottom lane fight. Now he's 3-0 on this LeBlanc with 6 stacks on his Dark Seal, starting to get a bit, starting to catch up in gold with Denzel, so he's gonna be the big guy to keep track of in the next fight. And the way he was able to kill Kantos through the Chrono Shift, insane.
Yeah, absolutely. Adept being the main hero now for Ostersunds FK, but I thought it was almost over, to be honest. Like when TFT pushed in there, through all that confusion as well with what happened with Baron, why aren't we ahead? What is going on here? Ostersunds FK looked like they were about to fall, but they managed to power through it. And that by itself is impressive right now. TFT, though, still in the driver's seat, still wanting to push this in. They have the inhibitor in the mid lane. Their super minions are at the middle of the map. So they're gonna keep pushing this.
Look at the flanks here. Both Marcoon and Adept are gonna be having to come in from the side to make some sort of a play. Lee Sin and LeBlanc, two of the biggest playmakers in the game. Look for Adept here.
Crysis moving in. Here comes Adept on the side, but he's CC'd in the air. Adept can't do anything, and Crysis already gone down. This is a crisis indeed. Without any frontline, this inhibitor is wide open, and Raxi intercepting Adept without any vision, knowing where he would be, blocking his attempt, and it's up to Adept yet again. Gonna try one more time.
Yeah, look for this LeBlanc as well as the Lee Sin. They are the big playmakers right now. Unforgiven is getting stunned up.
Oh, Unforgiven has been stunned and he goes down! Weiser is back in the game. Adept tries, but he cannot. That is the ace. TFT breaking down the base of OFK and OMJ. That is the game.
What an insane game back and forth. Kantos completely saving it out with the True Shot Barrage, stealing the Baron. If that wouldn't happen, Östersund would have won this game. I'm pretty sure about that. And still in that final fight, Adept was so close to making it happen. And the Q for Rax just like bops the LeBlanc in the middle of the air.
Yeah.
Just, you're not allowed to get on my backline.
That was well timed. That was definitely well timed. He knew exactly what Adept wanted to do. He was holding on to it. He was waiting for it. And then when Adept moved in to try to get to the backline the way he has done a million times, there was that little boop.
Yep.
And then it immediately just stopped. It broke everything. Crysis was expecting him to be there. But instead, since everyone was still on full HP, Crysis couldn't do anything. He just faltered completely. So I gotta say, though, to be honest, I'm kind of impressed with both teams, but it also was such a huge mistake to allow that Baron to be stolen with the Arcane Barrage. Like, that shouldn't happen.
Yeah, that was really the big turning point of the game. Still gotta say, as exciting as those final events were with the fights and the Baron steal, I think Östersund with the team comp that they were running, with the Cyan having a big lead with the Lee Sin and the LeBlanc as well, you have to get an earlier lead. You need to get a big lead early on when you're running these sort of big playmakers that can make the things happen early on. Had a very strong mid jungle duo and didn't really utilize that. So when it got to the later stages, it's very hard to play those sort of skill shot engaged champions like Lee Sin and LeBlanc into the disengage of the Sejuani and the Nami.
Also, I'm thinking about Christy up top lane with his Sion. Like, he is such a strong player. Is Sion really the best fit for him? Sure, it's a tank. He's a tank player, so there are other tanks that can do even more when they get that kind of advantage that he has gotten. So that is something also I want to look out for in game two. Like, what is he going to go for? They're going to stick around this because, like we saw, he gets a lot done 1 versus 1, but then he can't really capitalize on it with that gold. Is that something that's going to happen again, or are they going to change around it and try to play more around their strong top lane?
I think that Crazy can actually play some carries pretty well. I have seen him play Riven when Riven was like not in the meta at all, and he did really well with that. So he can definitely do it. The question is, do you change your team playstyle completely? Because so far they've been playing a lot around Adept in the mid lane, trying to get a lead there, and then just having Crazy on a tank where you know he's not going to fall far behind. So I think that yes, Crazy can do it, but do you really want to change up your style like 3 games into the night? I'm not too sure.
Absolutely. All right. So who will be the winning team in this Sweden versus Sweden Fiesta? We do not know, and we will find out after the break.